Hello everybody, welcome back to the sessions on power electronics by Ramana. This is the 20th session in this series in which we are going to discuss the concept of inverters. But before going into that, we will just go through the total syllabus once again of the subject power electronics 18 EE 503 EB for triple E. So far we have discussed two complete units in this series from the prescribed syllabus. Where the first unit comprised of power electronic devices and second comprised of inverters, and again the third unit which we have completed just now with the previous session is the third unit, that is AC voltage regulators and choppers. These three units are discussed and their course objectives were also mentioned, and now starts the fourth unit, which is inverters and cycloconverters. Again, the course objective, that is CO4 of this particular unit, is to acquire the knowledge to construct and use inverters and cycloconverter circuits as per the requirement. May it be a lighting or domestic application or industrial application, to select proper converter, that is whether inverter or cycloconverter depending on the need, and choose the proper thing. Course contents and the learning objectives, when we go through that, we will be discussing the inverter, classification of inverters, working of series and parallel inverters, and working of single phase bridge inverter with R load. Actually there will be many more types of inverters, and for all loads they can be discussed, but in this syllabus prescribed you are having only these three main topics under inverters and their applications, and next the cycloconverter, its types, basic principle, and single phase center tap, and the applications of cycloconverters. So these are the things which we are going to discuss in unit 4, that is inverters and cycloconverters under the prescribed syllabus. So in this 20th session, the main discussion will be on the types or classification of inverters and series inverter. Classification of inverters and working of series inverter. Up to the previous sessions, we have discussed so many things, and in the exact previous session, we have elaboratedly discussed the designing of the circuit for 4-quadrant chopper and it working in all the quadrants for motoring, forward motoring and reverse motoring, and all the breakings. In this particular session, the concept of inverters, classification of inverters, applications of inverters, working of series inverters are the main objectives. And to start with, we will just try to understand the concept. Just as any other converters, inverter is another power electronic converter which is extensively used and find applications in all the fields, whereas it converts DC power into AC power. Rectifier is a converter which converts AC into DC, whereas inverter does the opposite, it converts DC into AC. And not only that, we had to do something extra in this case when compared to the rectifiers, that is, we have to convert DC power into AC power so that the desired output voltage and frequency can be achieved in the waveform. So how it is done? Different technologies are employed in different types of inverters, but basically inverter is a device which converts DC power into AC power at desired output voltage and frequency. And these inverters can be designed for ratings from few watts, very few watts, to thousands of kilowatts, and operate over wide frequency range from even 50 Hz, that is the normal supply, that is consumption frequency, to hundreds of kilohertz. In our country India it is 50 Hz. So right from the basic usage of AC supply and above that and hundreds of kilohertz, that is hundreds of thousands of hertz, that higher frequencies also to operate at as such high frequencies also inverters can be designed. And as the ratings increase, as the ratings current and voltage ratings increase, we need to introduce thyristor devices, and as applicable to other converters which we have discussed, for lower ratings transistors and MOSFET can be used. As the ratings go on, thyristor family devices and MOSFETs and IGBTs of higher ratings can be used. And to do the conversion from DC to AC, there are some requirements which we have to mainly emphasize, on which to design the inverters are designed. That is, the inverters should be able to operate for inductive loads such as motors and fans. Mainly the loads are AC loads, that is motors, AC motors, and fan, domestic. Most of the consumed load for domestic things is fans, ceiling fans or table fans, and other things come into picture, that is refrigerators and ACs. But nowadays, owing to its higher consumptions and development in the technologies, inverter type or DC type of DC motors are used in those cases. Are still, for the domestic consumption, fans are the most extensively used loads, which are AC. So the inverter should be able to operate for inductive loads. Motors and fans are nothing but inductive loads. They should have the ability to work under no load and all load conditions. That is, they should carry the current throughout the period of the operation of the load once they are connected, and when the load is zero, then also they should be able to operate for continuous longer durations. And also for all load conditions means for all the fluctuating and continuously varying loads also, they should be able to convert DC into AC and supply at the desired voltage. The output waveform must be close to sinusoidal. This is the most important thing. All generation, transmission, distribution is AC. All the appliances are designed to operate under AC, which is particularly sinusoidal only. So what we expect from the inverters is their output should be close to sinusoidal. If perfect sinusoid cannot be achieved, at least it should be close to sinusoidal. And it should be able to withstand overcurrents and surge currents which may appear across all the load, AC load circuits, due to surges, due to lightnings, all those things. So these inverters should have a provision to introduce protection circuitry from overcurrents. Next, it should not operate beyond its rating. It should simply switch off. So these are the requirement of inverters. And don't get confused with this word inverters as the normal inverters which we used in the domestic uh, usage, normal inverters, or even UPS and SMPS. Yes, they are the inverters which will supply AC from DC, but they will have many more features, and the basic type of inverter circuits will be the main part of those inverters or SMPS or UPS. By from this name only, normally it is named as inverter for domestic appliances. And when it comes to the classification of inverters, there is a very broad classification depending on many constraints. First constraint which comes into the mind is based on the number of phases. Obviously, when it comes to AC, mainly it is single phase and three phase. So, inverters should be designed for proper applications. Single phase inverters and three phase inverters. So, based on the number of phases, they are divided into single phase and three phase inverters. Based on the nature of driving DC source from the supply side, based on the nature of DC source, they are voltage source inverters and current source inverters. That is how the actual source supply is fed to the input terminals of the inverter. There are two types: voltage source and current source inverters. Voltage source and current source inverters from the supply side. Classification of inverters depending on the commutation of SCR. Particularly, this classification is for only SCRs where commutation is separately needed. When it is GTO SCR, it is not needed. Other MOSFETs and IGBTs, they have their own turn-off procedures, but such commutation circuits will not be needed. This is exclusively for SCR. So based on the type of commutation of SCRs, whatever commutations we have discussed in the previous sessions for during the SCR commutations method, again from that all the commutation procedures are not followed in the case of inverters owing to other circuit complexities. Mainly the line or naturally commutated inverters or self-commutated inverters are used. Force commutated inverters, again which may be divided into voltage and current commutation. Auxiliary commutated inverters, complementary commutated inverters, the main types can be used. And next, based on the type of output voltage which is delivered to the load from the inverter output terminals: sine wave, square wave, quasi square wave. Sine wave is the most desired one, as we want perfect AC. So the output of this particular inverter will be a perfect sinusoidal sinusoid. So it is called sine wave inverter. Becomes costly to filter out all those harmonics and to wave shape it to become a perfect sinusoid. Next, square wave, which is the most available one. Quasi square wave, that is semi square. Again, it will not be a perfect square even. That is, its corners and edges will be cut out, or it will be in between to a curvy or triangular and square wave. So based on the type of output voltage or the shape of the output voltage, okay, shape of the output voltage, let us change this to even a proper word. Based on the shape of output voltage, sine, square and quasi square wave. Again, based on the type of connection, that is how the actual inverter circuit components, that is the device, inverting device and other commutating components are connected with the load. Based on the type of connection with the load, type of connection with the load. They are again divided into series inverter, parallel inverter, bridge inverter. These are the most basic type of inverters which we have to understand, and all other types of inverters are a development on these three. In our syllabus, we will be actually discussing the series, parallel, bridge inverters, and that too for only resistive load. Next, based on the type of circuit used for the control, pulse width modulator or PWM inverters and resonate inverters. Next, based on the circuit configuration, half bridge inverter, full bridge inverter, applicable to bridge circuits or bridge inverters only. So the classification is shown like this with 7 types. We will find more and more classifications depending on other control procedures and different configurations also, but these are sufficient to understand the basic concepts and classification of types of inverters. And any inverter can be designed, practically any inverter can be designed to be a combination of these types. That is, an inverter, obviously when the supply source is when the output you want, or when the load is single phase, you will design a single phase inverter, again which may be a voltage source or current source inverter. Now take for an example, to supply a single phase load, you can design a single phase voltage source inverter. If it employs SCR, it can be line or naturally commutated inverter or any other thing. If the shape of the output voltage, if you can employ, again it can be a sine wave, square wave or quasi square wave, and depending on how the commutating components and switches are connected with the load, it can be a series, parallel or bridge, and based on the type of control, based on the circuit. Just we will go through a simple name like single phase voltage source line commutated full bridge PWM series inverter, series square wave inverter or sine wave inverter. So all we can incorporate all these features in a single inverter to suit to the load according to the technology we have, or according to the design we can make. So it can be any type of these things. So that is the classification of inverters which we have gone through, and mainly the inverters which we are going to use will be based on the supply source, voltage source inverter and current source inverters. Voltage source inverter is an inverter in which the DC source has very small or negligible impedance. As the name indicates, voltage source means, just try to imagine a voltage source. Voltage sources are deemed to be taken with zero impedance or zero resistance, so that there will not be any voltage drop across its self impedance, and so that load will be getting its full output voltage, or its full output from the voltage source, which becomes input to the load. Or it can also be said as a stiff DC voltage source at its input terminal. Stiff DC voltage source means this DC voltage will never fall, and it will be maximum as possible. Voltage will be as maximum, impedance should be as less as possible. The second one is, it is an inverter, that is current source inverter. Is an inverter which is fed with adjustable current from a DC source of high impedance at input terminals. Again, a current source is deemed to have high impedance so that it will not consume any current for its own consumption, and the total current coming out from it will be fed to the load as input current. Means it should be equivalent as if a very high impedance is connected across its terminals or shunt parallel. So these are the two types of inverters, or this is the actual, these two are the main things which should be used for any inverter. It should be either a voltage source inverter or current source inverter, from any of these two types only, any inverter. And once you understand the concepts, applications, again inverters find applications in wide variety of fields, in all, particularly speed variation and control of AC motor drives, high voltage DC transmission or HVDC transmission system, where you can invert HVDC transmission at the end to be converted into AC, then distribute. Next, uninterruptible power supplies or UPS or inverters and SAPS, which are extensively used for domestic as well as commercial applications. Emergency power supplies in domestic lighting appliances, which most of us will be using in our day-to-day life, whenever power from the mains is off in need. During the night times, when during darker times, we will be using emergency power supplies, which are nothing but operated by inverters, timing devices, AC power supplies for lasers, and many more. So these are the applications of inverters, and main classification of inverters is voltage source inverter, current source inverter, and other, which we are actually going to discuss in our syllabus, are series and parallel inverters. And in this session we will be discussing what a series inverter is. Series inverter is the most basic inverter which we can discuss of to understand the actual concept of inversion. And in this slide is shown the most basic type of series inverter. As the name indicates, the commutating components. Commutating components on power electronic device or the switch are connected in series with the load. For series inverter, mainly the commutating elements or components L and C are permanently connected in series with the load. That is why it is called as series inverter. And they are chosen such that the circuit becomes underdamped. This is the most important thing, and this thing we have already discussed in the commutation procedures of SCR. In this circuit, SCRs are used, so for that purpose we have to make it underdamped by choosing appropriate values of L and C. Go back to the discussions of load commutation or self commutation, where due to the underdamped nature of the load circuit, the current will increase to a higher value and it automatically decreases to a lower value. And that is because that will be possible by choosing appropriate values of this L and C. By choosing appropriate values of L and C. And and we can also understand from the circuit that these L and C commutating components will be carrying the total load current whichever flows through the circuit. That is, we have to design these components to have higher current ratings. That is the disadvantage, main disadvantage of this circuit. But the self commutation itself is a very good advantage. Because of this, the output of the inverter will be almost a sinusoid. That is an added advantage, and that is possible because of the underdamped nature of the circuit. So depending on the type of connection with the load with the commutating components, it is called as series inverter, and depending on the self commutation mentioned, it is called self commutated or load commutated inverter. So even though it has got some disadvantages, this is the most extensively used type of inverter owing to its simplicity of the circuit, automatic type of commutation or easy commutation, and the shape of the output. The shape of the output will be very near to sinusoid, or you can say that it is an almost sinusoid, which is achieved without doing or without involving any extra circuitry. So that is the concept of or how the circuit is designed for series inverter. We shall go through the actual operation in different modes, one after the other. To start with, these are the waveforms for the operation of the series inverter. T1, T2 are the gate triggering pulses given to SCR1 and T2 respectively, one after the other when required. I is the waveform of the current or load current, and here is shown the voltage across C, which is the actual driving thing of the circuit. For the total operation of the circuit, this is the thing which is responsible, and load voltage, how it is varied. Just by seeing the waveforms, we can see that when T1 or SCR1 is on, current increases almost sinusoidally and decreases to a zero value due to the underdamped nature. After some time, when SCR2 or T2 is on, current again increases negatively and decreases to zero value after some time. The shape is almost a sinusoid apart from this break. And when it comes to the capacitor or capacitor voltage, when T1 is turned on, the capacitor is already holding to a charge, because of which it is charged to a negative voltage already, and it decreases negatively, increases positively, and becomes maximum by the time current reaches zero value, and it supplies when the SCR2 is on or during the negative half cycle of the current. And load voltage, once you turn on the SCR, it gets its full voltage, and voltage becomes negative when the current starts to become negative, again due to the underdamped nature of the circuit. And the similar thing is repeated in reverse. When negative current increases, negative voltage will be there, it decreases and becomes zero. When negative peak is reached, it becomes positive maximum. And when you compare these two waveforms, it is a full sinusoid having two half cycles. So this is what you can understand from the waveform. These things we will again discuss in three different parts: mode 1, 2, 3. Mode 1 is from this origin O to A, mode 2 from A to B, and mode 3 from B to C. Mode 1 is from 0 to A. The capacitor is initially charged to EC, as we have seen in the negative in the waveform. EC with left negative. Negative voltage is already there across the capacitor. This plate is negative. When supply is on and when SCR1 turns on at O, this capacitor starts to build up. When we go through the waveforms, once again the capacitor has got initially charged to a negative voltage with left plate as negative, and once the supply is on at O, T1 or SCR1 is also turned on, the voltage across the capacitor starts to decrease negatively, it becomes 0 and then again increases positively, or this left plate starts to become more positive. And due to the underdamped nature, the current will increase as if it were a sinusoid and becomes a maximum and then starts to decrease and becomes 0 at point A. But during this course, at the same point when current becomes maximum, the capacitor building up of voltage will still continue. At this time, corresponding to this, it will be EC plus EC instead of this was minus EC, and it will be plus EC over here. And even beyond this point, capacitor starts to build up the voltage, and by the time current becomes 0 at point A, the capacitor will be charged up to a voltage which will be equal to V plus EC. V plus EC. And this is the main thing which will be driving the total circuit in the negative half cycle. And during the same course, when supply is on, when SCR is turned on, load will be getting its full voltage, but it decreases to 0 value due to again underdamped nature. And also underdamped nature, it is because of the capacitor which is building up its voltage. And by the time it builds up the voltage, there will not be any further voltage allowed to the load in the positive direction, it becomes negative voltage. Likewise, this style continues. And at point A, current through SCR or current through load becomes 0, or load current becomes 0. By that time, this capacitor charge gets reversed, that is left plate positive and right plate negative, and the voltage becomes V plus EC, which is far more than the supply voltage. Because of this, now the capacitor delivers a voltage in opposition to T1 SCR and in favor to T2 SCR, or because of this capacitor voltage built up to a value V plus EC, now SCR1 will be reverse biased. Due to that, current through SCR goes on decreasing, or load goes on decreasing, and it becomes 0. At the same time, SCR2 or T2 will get forward biased. T2 will get forward biased, but the most important thing here is it will not be triggered. It will be under forward bias, but it will not be triggered, means it will not conduct. What happens if it conducts? When this T1 is still on, there will be dead short circuit across the supply voltage source, which gets damaged or burnt. So the most important precaution which should be taken for series inverters is the T2 or whatever switch you employ over here, it should never be turned on until the ongoing switch or ongoing SCR, that is the conducting SCR, is totally turned off and regains its forward blocking state. So for that purpose, In this waveform, this blank region is shown, that is from during the interval from A to B. This is your mode 2, where supply voltage will be cut off. Current, even though current has become 0, the triggering pulse to the second SCR will not be given over here. There will be certain time allowed for the SCR1 to get totally turned off. That is, you can understand this as the circuit turn off time. As we recall, circuit turn off time should always be more than the SCR turn off time. Keeping that in mind, during this time, no biasing of SCR2 or T2 will be done. So during this mode, there will neither be any current through the load nor any voltage to the load, and capacitor holds on to its voltage V plus EC. And after elapsing of the sufficient circuit turn off time, then at point B, SCR2 or T2 will be triggered. Once SCR2 or T2 is triggered, capacitor which is holding charge with positive left plate, which is already forward biasing T2, once this is triggered, SCR2 conducts, capacitor discharges via T2 load L and back again, or the charge built up or voltage built up across the capacitor will be released or circulated through the load in the reverse direction to the previous direction, that is mode 1, or the current direction during mode 3 will be reversed to the current direction during mode 1. So that is how the positive and negative cycles are automatically achieved. And this discharge of capacitor goes on till its charge becomes, the discharge of the capacitor goes on till its charge or its voltage becomes minus EC. By that time, the load current or current through the SCR2 becomes 0 and voltage becomes positive maximum across the load. And that is how you can achieve a sinusoidal current through the load and sinusoidal voltage through the load, or simply AC, or the supply DC. The DC supply voltage is converted into AC. It will have its own disadvantage in the shape, that is, it may not be a perfect sinusoid, but it is still nearer to sinusoid when compared to most of the other inverters without involving any other wave shaping equipment. So this is the simplest of the circuit, and even the operation is also simple. And at the end of the negative half cycle, or at this point C, capacitor holds on to its charge and the voltage will be minus EC, which is the initial conditions as shown in the figure, minus EC, which is required to start the inverter once again for the next cycle. But again, the same precaution which was taken over here will be taken, that is, after C, even though the current through SCR has become naturally 0, there will be certain time allowed for SCR2 to regain its blocking state, then only SCR1 will be triggered again. That will be done during this period C to D. Again, the interval C to D should be more than the turn off time of the SCR2. So that is how the series inverter is operated during different modes. Just go through these things, the sequence of events which we have discussed so far. That is, the capacitor is initially charged to EC with left negative, or you can simply say this as minus EC. When the forward biased and when the supply source is on, SCR is forward biased, but it is not turned on until a gate triggering pulse is given. But in this case, it will be given at 0 or O itself. A current I flows to a load through T1, C and L. By the time the current reaches its peak value, the capacitor voltage will be nearly equal to the supply voltage. This will be nearly equal to supply voltage when current is maximum. But it still builds up voltage, and extra voltage will be built up across the capacitor. After reaching a peak value, current starts to decrease due to underdamped nature. As the capacitor starts to build voltage above the supply voltage, it starts to build up. So load current, there cannot be any load current to the load. By the time current becomes 0, the capacitor will get charged to V plus EC volts, and its left plate becomes positive, or simply you can say this as simply plus V plus EC. Hence at point A in the waveform, the capacitor reverse biases T1 and its current becomes 0. As capacitor holds voltage V plus EC in the reverse direction, it gets reverse biased and current decreases. When it falls below the holding value, it comes to turn off position. That happens at A, but still it will be maintained 0 voltage. Then comes mode 2, that is interval AB. If the SCR T2 is triggered immediately after the current through T1 is just reduced to 0, the source gets shorted through T1, T2. So that should always be avoided. Hence a reverse bias should be applied to T1 to turn it off completely. That is done by capacitor, and then only T2 should be triggered. The time interval AB must be more than the turn off time of T1. This is nothing but you can imagine it as circuit turn off time. The voltage across inductance is 0. As it is discharged, as the capacitor holds on to total voltage, it will not allow any current to flow through the load as well as inductance. The voltage across the capacitor is maintained constant at V plus EC. It is maintained constant at V plus EC during the interval AB. Next, when it comes to mode 3, that is interval B to C, T2 is forward biased or gate triggering voltage will be given due to the capacitor voltage it is forward biased due to the capacitor voltage V plus EC, that is left plate positive. Then it will be turned on by applying a gate pulse at point B. Capacitor discharges until it reaches the initial charge EC, but in the negative direction, minus EC, or with left plate negative, and the load current I will be opposite to mode 1. Again the current increases negatively to attain the negative peak and will decrease to 0 at point C due to underdamping nature. At point C, T2 turns off as its forward current or anode current becomes 0, or capacitor is left with no charge to be discharged. It will hold on to this much of charge. It cannot be discharged further. The above sequence of modes is repeated as per the desired frequency. That is how the output is converted into AC from the input, which is DC in case of series inverter, which is the simplest of the operations. Its advantages are, it is a simple circuit, output is nearly sinusoidal. Very simple circuit, output is nearly sinusoidal. But the disadvantages are, as we have discussed, high current ratings of commutating elements L and C. As L and C, that is commutating elements, are connected in series with the load, they have to carry the current carried by the load, or they have to carry whatever current which is carried by the load. The output voltage has harmonics due to the time delay due to A, B and again C and D. The load current flows only during positive half cycle from the supply source. This is the most important thing which we have to understand again through the waveforms, just that is supply load current shown over here or the circuit is fed from the supply voltage source via SCR1 only during the half cycle, and capacitor is building up its voltage. During the negative half cycle, capacitor is discharging or supplying the voltage to the load and the current or power to the load. The means the actual operation of the circuit, or actually the circuit will get its power only during the negative half cycle, that is from O to A. Only from O to A supply will be given to the inverter circuit as well as the load. During the negative half cycle, during the other period, that is from C to D, from B to C, supply will be given from the capacitor. So capacitor rating is high, which is again difficult. The maximum load current depends on the load resistance, hence the output regulation of the inverter is poor. Output regulation, that is the regulation of voltage or the variation of voltage from no load to full load will be poor, or that variation will be high. When full load is there, voltage will be less, load voltage becomes less. Applications, it finds applications mainly in induction heating and fluorescent lighting. In this session we have discussed the concept and classification working of series inverters, and the main points are we can operate this concept of inverters is to have the output AC power at desired output voltage and frequency. For higher power applications, thyristor inverters are used, which require forced combination circuits. As the supply is DC, you need forced combination only. For low and medium power applications, transistor inverters are used, which can be operated at higher frequencies up to and above 20 kHz. The AC output voltage waveforms are sinusoidal and contain harmonics. Time for quiz. Inverter is a device which converts DC supply to AC supply. DC supply to AC supply. What are the different types of inverters depending on the type of connection? Series, parallel, bridge. All of the above is the answer. Frequently asked, what is an inverter? A basic question. Classify the types of inverters, state the applications, and explanation or question for comprehension. Explain the operation of a series inverter with neat sketches of the circuit and waveforms, and discuss it elaborately. So that is the concept, classification of inverters, working of series inverter, and that is all for this session regarding the operation of the series inverter. With this we stop, and we'll continue our discussion in the next session, wherein we will be discussing the operation or working of parallel inverters.